We're moving on to Business Update now. We've got Michael Wilson joining us from London. Michael, it's a pleasure having you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi there. Despite what you've been discussing in Washington and the political ramifications of all that, as far as tempestuous Trump is concerned, no news is good news. A very sort of buy anything kind of day yesterday. Equity market retreat from Monday, that was very much reversed. The herd quickly joined basically to buy anything, and they moved into what we term in the markets buying in the dip. So when things are cheap, people buy. So basically the headline from yesterday really is no news is good news. As far as China's concerned, here's an interesting one for you. They came out with their money supply figures. Now, it sounds very technical, it is. What it does is, for better or worse, measures the amount of money in circulation. And that actually fell. So there's a feeling, therefore, that maybe the People's Bank of China doesn't like the fact that there is less money around. Less money around means that interest rates sort of go up. And therefore means that the country's currency increases. And so that appears to be a signal from those figures yesterday. It may just be a blip, but certainly a stronger yuan or a stronger renminbi, depending on what you wish to call it, is not good for China exports. And of course, that's a very large part of their economy. As far as the market's concerned, sort of mixed, really, as far as Asia is concerned. Slight increases here and there. Singapore up about 0.5%, and a very impressive technology rally in Taipei. The cancellation of US ambassadorial visit to Taiwan has also caused a collective sigh of relief in Taiwan markets, because the way things are at the moment, any kind of big diplomatic moves are upsetting, basically, in these last days of the Trump administration. China vaccine. Now, Brazil is saying that the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Sinovac Biotech is just over 50% effective. That barely meets the threshold for Brazil's regulatory approval, and well below, this is the important thing, the efficacy that was actually claimed for it. So this is quite an important thing. It's the first country, Brazil, to complete late stage of the vaccine CoronaVac, and that's by their state-run Butantan Institute. US then, 3 Federal Reserve officials spoke overnight, all of them relatively dovish about where the Fed's actually going, and they're sort of comfortable with any kind of rising inflation that they're seeing at the moment. If you remember, Jay Powell said last year, that he's the chairman of the Fed, that said last year he was comfortable not reacting to the day-to-day ups and downs of inflation, but taking a longer-term view. White House relatively quiet then, relatively empty data calendar. But as John Cookson was hinting at, this is a very interesting one as well. US companies who have said that they are aghast at the Republican Party and aghast against Trump may well be changing their minds when Joe Biden starts to up taxes and increase regulation. That'd be an important thought to carry forward. Bitcoin's been bashed. We expect Bitcoin to do extremely well as far as the dollar is concerned, but it hasn't, and it's fallen about 10% in the day. Now, as far as Bitcoin, if that happened to an investment, you'd be seriously worried. Bitcoin bounces around every kind of day. It's a world where tradable versus investable is seriously blurred. Walk with incredible care, if I were you. Huawei. Criticism of their latest patent, which has been brought to light. Apparently, it's identifies people who apparently are from a Uyghur origin among images of pedestrians. The Uyghur people belong to a mostly Muslim ethnic group that lives mainly in Xinjiang province in northwestern China, and government authorities have been accused of high-tech surveillance and also persecution of that minority. So that's something Huawei have promised to alter as far as their patent is concerned. European markets expected to open higher really today as hopes pace of the rollout of coronavirus vaccines worldwide. FTSE DAX, CAC, FTSE MIB, FTSE MIB, all expected to open slightly higher. European markets are really dependent on this vaccine thing. I did say yesterday when I was answering your questions that whatever you say about what's going on, the one key thing is getting vaccines to people. Never mind anything else that's going on basically in the financial world. Sterling strengthened slightly. Bank of England governor said that no, he's not considering negative interest rates right now. There'd been a slight worry about that, as you can imagine. When we go shopping, at last, the supermarkets are saying here, shoppers must wear masks. So in other words, Tesco, Asda, Waitrose, Morrison's and the other biggies have all said, you want to come and shop with us, you have to wear masks. They've been criticised for not doing enough to stop people breaking COVID rules as infection spread. It's not really an enforceable thing for supermarkets to worry about. It should be the police. But if anybody doesn't follow the rules and becomes abusive, as sadly some of our shoppers have been, then the supermarkets can take action. Commodities, very, very briefly. Asia saw oil markets rally. That was because of the Saudi output cut and also larger than expected fall in US inventories. Gold, a modest comeback. Today, the day ahead's very interesting as far as the United States is concerned. We're going to get the inflation figures from them, and we're also going to get more federal central bank officials talking about where they feel the economy is going. So when I talk to you tomorrow morning, I should be able to reflect some of that comment in our US recap. Okay. Back to you.
Okay, Michael, real quickly, I want to talk about some personal banking now. Deutsche Bank took the bull by the horn yesterday, decided to upset the apple cart and went straight for the jugulars of Donald Trump. Deutsche Bank has been his personal banker for so many years, and they've meddled into politics. Do you think they've crossed the line? There's also talk about a lot of money leaving America because investors are not certain about the situation on ground. And don't forget, lots of money that came into the American economy came in because Trump reduced the barrier on taxes for a lot of these big corporates to be able to bring the money back rather than keep it stashed somewhere in the tax haven in Holland. What is happening as regards the economics of scale?
Well, as far as Deutsche Bank's concerned, I mean, if they want to say those kind of things, that's completely up to them. I thought that if I dealt with the bank, my relationship with that bank was purely confidential. That's what I thought. So I don't know how that goes with Deutsche Bank at the moment. If I were Deutsche Bank, if I were anybody, actually, I'd keep mouth firmly shut right now until the husk of the Trump administration has disappeared and the real battle, which is nothing to do with Trump, it's to do with vaccines and it's to do with the forward look of the US economy, and that's in Joe Biden's hands. I said earlier in my global report that yes, a lot of businesses have been very critical about what Republicans have been doing, and so they have. And as we were saying right at the beginning of the week, a number of businesses have actually withdrawn their support from corporate America before the midterm elections in 2022. However, what they haven't seen is where taxes may increase, as you just alluded to, in the United States under Joe Biden, how money supply may well be cut, and how regulation may be increased as well. So there are big things going on at the moment. These are the dog days of administration. Wrong, I think, to be too certain about where things are going to go. Tackle them when they actually arise. Meanwhile, mouth shut.
Well, we don't have more time. I would have loved to ask you about what happened to Elon Musk. Now he's suddenly no longer the richest man in the world. And whether or not, it makes sense off political season, for corporate America to say they are withdrawing support from Republicans. But we'll discuss that tomorrow.
All right, we'll go on a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more. All right, welcome back. Still the Morning Show right here on the RAG News channel. For more updates on COVID-19, Adeso Moro is here.
Thank you very much.
Excellently, I should say. Excellently.
Thank you so much, Rafai. Well, according to the latest tally from the Johns Hopkins University, so far there have now been over 91.5 million coronavirus cases globally. The United States remains the most affected country with 22.8 million. India is second with 10.4 million, and Brazil is third place with 8.1 million cases. There have also been 1.9 million deaths due to the coronavirus globally. Now, here in Nigeria, the second wave of the pandemic has continued to sweep across the country. Yesterday, another 1,270 new infections were recorded in 22 states across the country, according to the latest figures by the NCDC. Lagos turned in another 435 cases, followed by the Federal Capital Territory. Now, away from those statistics, and you can get more on this statistics from Nigeria and globally from our website at arise.tv. But to other stories now, a team of Nigerian professors and scientists named COVID research group have investigated the effectiveness and roles that the ivermectin drug can play in the treatment of coronavirus. Now, the team comprising Nigerian scholars at home and abroad briefed Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo on their research work. They also said that they have submitted their findings to the WHO for peer review. Now, this can be the game changer for Nigeria. The study indicated that the clinical trials of the drug, which is actually orally absorbed, have been carried out in 21 countries, including Nigeria. Again, it can be a game changer in the prevention and treatment of COVID-19, of course, with the non-pharmaceutical interventions that we currently have. And still in Nigeria, Ekiti State is in southwest Nigeria, by the way. Ekiti State may just be emerging as the state to emulate when it comes to COVID-19 response. Yesterday, the state governor, Dr. Kade Fayemi, commissioned solar-powered refrigerators ahead of the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines by the federal government this month. The state acquired 187 solar-powered cold chain refrigerators for vaccine storage. This is good news, and we should see more states preparing for the arrival of those vaccines. And in Africa, still in Africa, well, the African Union has purchased almost 300 million COVID-19 vaccine doses, and it's the largest of such agreement yet for Africa. We have seen this play out in Europe with the European Union. Well, a senior science advisor for the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told the Associated Press in an interview that the current AU chair, which is South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, will announce the news today. Now, the 300 million doses are being secured independently of the global COVAX effort and are expected at the end of the first quarter of this year. But what we do not know is the sharing formula. Will it be based on population, rates of infection, or equitable? Those details were not revealed. And finally, China has recorded 115 cases. That's the highest the country has recorded in 5 months. This is despite 3 cities being on lockdown at the moment, increased testing and other measures that China has put in place. Now, the National Health Commission said 107 out of the 115 cases are attributed to local infections, and that's the update.
Let's start with ivermectin. It's good to see the Nigerian government, and particularly the Vice President, providing support and acknowledging the efforts of Nigerian scientists who are part of, the global search for a solution to COVID-19. Now, with regard to ivermectin, yes, it's been very controversial in terms of whether it can be a prophylaxis or a cure for COVID-19. This was a drug that was discovered in the 1970s, and it was used to treat parasitic infestations. But it was also later discovered that for certain categories of virus, you could reduce the viral load. And with regard to viruses with mRNA manifestations, it could also show some indications. But opinion is divided on whether it can really be safe or the rate of efficacy. And that is why there have been, research in different places into this. And now we have this team of Nigerian scientists who are carrying out a randomized, a repurposing of the drug to see what effect it can have on COVID-19. And it is good that they've submitted their findings to the WHO. However, I think at the meeting with the vice president, they themselves made it clear that while this drug can help, according to our findings, at the end of the day, you have to still take the non-pharmaceutical preventions.
Yes.
And that this drug, if it is found to be efficient, then of course it could help Nigeria, pending the time that we are able to get enough vaccines to achieve herd immunity up to the level of about 70%. I was particularly excited to see, so we really have serious-minded persons who are doing this research, and it is good to find the government discovering them. And incidentally, Professor Sunday Umilabu, the virologist, whom we interviewed on this program, when I saw his name there, I was excited. I was like, yes, I know this one. I know this one, in a childlike manner. Now, as for Ekiti State, yes, it is. We should commend Governor Fayemi for thinking ahead and for already making available solar-powered cold storage chain. Yes. Because the Presidential Task Force and the National Primary Health Development Agency had made it clear that it's not that the vaccines will come and then every state will just collect its own share. The basic criterion required is that there must be clear evidence that a particular state is ready and it has the facilities for storage. Now, the governor of Ogun State, who incidentally is the chairman of the Governors Forum, he has shown leadership in that regard. Where I'm, however, concerned is the fact that these, cold storage facilities are going to be put at primary health care centers in, according to him, 177 wards. Now, what is the status of those primary health care centers in those 177 wards? I mean, I do not know how strong the primary health care system is in Ekiti State, but we do know that it is those primary health care centers that have suffered most in our health care provision system in this country. If they do not have security, they do not have the necessary facility, they do not have the personnel to be able to administer the vaccines when they eventually arrive, then that will be a big problem indeed. So in that regard, Ekiti State still needs to do a lot. Beyond just providing the cold storage, there are other issues to still think about. Even look at the United Kingdom. The NHS is asking for volunteers. The people are not enough. The vaccination is not going at the pace that is expected. Israel is doing 24 hours per week to ensure, faster vaccination. The UK is beginning to look at a proposal to see whether they can be vaccinating people 24 hours, non-stop, so as to be able to reach the populace. However, the bigger concern with Nigeria is the story I saw in one of the papers today with the Minister of Finance saying that there is no budget for vaccine. There's no provision for the purchase of vaccines in the 2021 budget. We were told about a certain 400 billion that will be required weeks ago. Now, up to this moment, nobody has thought it necessary to come up with a supplementary budget. The minister was just saying, well, we're going to go and sit down and now determine the type of vaccine that Nigeria may need, the quantity that Nigeria may need, and then the amount will be worked out. Look, I can show you that in itself can take 1 month. It's important for the Nigerian government, particularly at the federal level and also at the state level, to realize that we're dealing with an emergency. I mean, they do these briefings and they say, look, the situation is dire, the situation is serious. But in terms of how they themselves are proceeding, they don't seem to think that it's an emergency, which is the very disturbing part in terms of our response.
Yes.
I mean, you've said it all, Dr. Abati. And It has shown that we have great minds in this country. It has shown that we can fix our problems, but we've chosen not to. While we are saying somebody is saying they'll have to look for money for vaccine, Nigerian scientists with limited resource. You remember Professor Sunday Onlabu was saying we still need a lot of facility.
Yes.
But with the limited resource he had, see what they've been able to bring out, even McTein, and they've been able to conduct these trials around the world. So it has shown we have the capacity to do all those things. Governor Fayemi is another shining example. Going ahead with solar-powered cold storage for primary healthcare centers. It has shown that out of all the madness and chaos sometimes you think of Nigeria, there are still pockets of light, like Governor Fayemi, Dr. Fayemi, I should say, and some other people. But what we need to do in this country is to harness all that light and make our country shine bright. Honorable Minister, you have to look for that money, and please look for it quick. We don't want a case where they say because of no money we can't get vaccine. Dr. Abati said it takes a month. He has historical antecedents because he's been in government. But Honorable Minister, prove Dr. Abati wrong. Look for that money quickly. Bring it out so that lives will be saved and Nigeria will shine bright. We have the capacity to be the best nation on earth and the best we shall continue to be.
Well, we seem to be relying because everybody keeps talking about the donation that will come from the COVAX facility. But that, we're told, will account for just about 20% of the Nigerian population. Okay, total, 100,000 plus 42 million doses. That will not even touch anything. We still need to get up to about 50% extra so that we can achieve 70%, you know, to have herd immunity. All of these calculations should be in place. There's a technical working group we were told was set up to work out all of these details at the federal level. Now, who are the members of that technical working group? What are they doing? They can't be functioning in secrecy.
Yeah, you're very correct. That's why I say, Honorable Minister, prove us wrong here. We've thrown the baton to you, ma.